So why can't they? Why can't schools respond to the fact that, education needs to be looking at more outside of the box, artistic, creative thinking? I want you to imagine for a moment that after this whole learning loss narrative that the media has been buzzing about for ages and ages, which by the way is not true, that after this whole learning loss narrative, that there was a superintendent that decided, you know what, we as a county need to stop testing and we need to go back and rethink about what we actually want from education. And we need to identify what our end product is. What does an actual educated student look like? Is that going to be someone who has taken this many tests and done this many courses and had this amount of seat time? Or is it something different? Is it something that, is it a person who can think critically and, look at things in a creative way? What does that look like? So imagine that a superintendent was tasked with this and their response was to say no more testing for the rest of the year. After this whole learning loss narrative that the media has gone off on, that is not something that a superintendent can do and hope to keep their job. So superintendents, public education, school education has tied itself so intrinsically, excuse me, with testing and standardization that they can't wrench themselves free. And worse, they can't get rid of the stuff that doesn't work. So if you pay 2 million at the beginning of the year for some contract with a testing company and you find out it's not a very good test or it's not, the right time of year or whatever it is that it's not working, you can't say, well, that didn't work, so we're not going to do it anymore, because you spent $2 million on it. And if you spend $2 million on something that doesn't work, suddenly everyone and their brother comes to the school board meeting and has their pitchforks and their torches out and they go, you got to go. That also is reflective of the problem with education and learning, is if you are someone who is in a position where they have to constantly change and you don't allow them to change and respond to either, whatever you want to call it, the market, the needs of the students, the needs of the parents, the needs of the community, if they are unable to do that, then they aren't really able to do their full job. So public education has so closely tied itself to this fear mentality, this scarcity mentality, that they can't untie themselves from that. And that's a massive problem. And it's something that is not going to be easily addressed. And I don't know how to address that. Like, I don't get paid the big bucks for that. I have a few ideas, but I don't know how you fix that. So before you go and blame the superintendent, or you blame, the head of education, or you blame the principal of the school, know that they are working with a system that does not allow them the freedom of leadership that they need to have. They are in a system that doesn't allow them to make choices that are probably the best choices for those kids. And the best choices for those kids, believe it or not, it's not testing, it's not doubling down on data collection. It's not, but they don't really have the freedom to make that decision. So that's a huge part of the problem too.